Thomasina. Once upon a time, there was a woman who longed to have a little girl of her own to love and care. As the time passed, and she had no children, she became very sad. Then one day, she heard of a wise old woman who could help, and she went to see her. The wise old woman smiled. "Take this tiny seed, and plant it in a flower pot, and you will have your little girl," she said. The woman took the seed home and planted it. Soon, the green shots appeared, and a flower bud grew between them. At last, the bud opened out into a flower. Right in the center was a little girl, no bigger than the woman's thumb. The woman looked down at the girl. "How pretty you are," she said. "You are so small and plenty. I'm going to call you Thomasina." The woman was happy to have a little girl at last. She took good care of Thomasina. Thomasina was so happy too. She sang songs in her clear voice, as she played on the kitchen table. At night, she slept in a bed made from a tiny walnut shell. Then one day, the frog heard Thomasina's singing and hopped in through the window. "What a pretty wife you would make for my son," she said. She carried Thomasina away to the stream where she lived. The frog left the tiny girl all alone on a leaf and went off to find her son. Thomasina didn't want to marry the frog at all, but she didn't know how she could escape. After a while, some fishes came swimming by. "Please help me," Thomasina begged. "The frog wants me to marry her son. I must find a way to escape." All the fish felt very sorry for Thomasina. So, they spent the whole day nibbling through the stem of the leaf, and at last, Thomasina was able to float away. As she drifted down the stream, Thomasina met a butterfly. It took her to a pleasant wood where she could make a home for herself. Thomasina was happy in the wood, eating the nuts and berries that she found, and playing with her friends and butterflies. But soon, the days grew colder. When the winter came, it was harder for Thomasina to find food. Her friends and butterflies disappeared, and she was alone. Then one day, Thomasina met a field mouse who was just going into her house. "I'm so hungry," Thomasina said. "Can you please help me find something to eat?" The field mouse took pity on the girl. "Of course," she said. "You can stay with me in my warm house and share my food." Thomasina lived happily with the field mouse for a long time. But one day, the field mouse said, "I can't keep you here longer. Why don't you marry my friend the mole who lives next door? He has a much bigger house than mine. He will look after you next winter." Thomasina did not want to marry the mole. He lived under the ground and knew nothing of the sunny world outside. Next day, the mole visited Thomasina. "Please come and see where I live," he said. Thomasina did not want to hurt the mole's feelings. She followed him into the tunnel that led to his dark underground home. "Be careful," said the mole. "There is a dead bird just here." Thomasina saw that the bird was a swallow. He was not dead, he was just very cold and weak. Thomasina felt sorry for the swallow. She covered him with dried leaves and grass to keep him warm. Thomasina looked after the swallow all through the cold winter. By summer, he was strong and well, and ready to go back to his own home. Thomasina said goodbye to the swallow as he flew off with his friends. She was happy that he was well, but she knew that she would miss him. And she was sad to think before the next winter came, she would have to marry the mole and live underground. When the summer ended, Thomasina looked up at the sky for the last time with tears in her eyes. The birds were flying high overhead, and suddenly, one of them swooped down to her. It was the swallow she had saved. "I'm going to a warm country," he said. "Come with me." Thomasina was overjoyed. She climbed onto the swallow's back and flew with him to a faraway land where it was always summer. This land was full of flowers, and inside everyone lived a tiny person, just like Thomasina. "We are the flower people," they said. "And this is your true home. We will call you Maya." Maya loved her new home. Before long, she married the handsome prince of the flower people, and they lived happily ever after.